Welcome to From the Stage to the Screen to YouTube. This is an EdTech 540 video documentary about the written word coming to life in the classroom. Human beings have long enjoyed the entertainment, wonder, and awe of performances. We want to get lost in the story, feel part of the action, learn something about the world or ourselves, and be connected to each other. Performances allowed for words to come to life before our eyes, making ever more real the content of the original print contained. There has been a historical evolution from the stage to screen in our lives. This history has impacted our worldviews, appreciation of culture, understanding of literature, and acceptance of truth in the form of words coming to life beyond the pages. What is the history of this transformative literacy of moving from the page to visual presentation through action? And what have the impacts of this transformative literacy been on our education systems? We can examine the evolution of written print to dramatic expression through history. It all started in ancient Greece in 600 BC when people wanted to honor with dramatic plays their god of wine, grapes, and the theater, Dionysus. The actors would wear masks and recite hymns called choral lyrics to honor their god. In 534 BC, a man named Thespis astounded audiences by leaping onto the back of a wooden cart and reciting poetry as if he was one of the characters whose lines he was reading, earning himself the first acting award. In doing so, he became the world's first actor, and it is from him that we get the word thespian. From this moment, the stage took hold as a form of entertainment and information. This literary phenomenon spread to the corners of the civilized world, taking forms that represented cultural and historical importances of the region and the time. Theater is a long-standing element of human activity whose uses and value have been passed down through time. The cultural impacts of this new form of literacy have affected gender roles in society, with the theater sparking a women's rights movement, and it's caused a question of morality, with actors being excommunicated from the church and patrons discouraged from attending performances, as this was a form of indulgence to amusement that was a temptation to avoid. Chansky stated that the theater is spiritually and emotionally fulfilling, socially elevating, of civic importance, a site for assaying social change, and an enriching locus of cultural capital. Theater events continue to be impacted by and a medium for the events of politics, religion, and popular culture. Education is also heavily impacted by these interpretations of performances of print, often acting as the source for exposure, understanding, and an awareness of what otherwise would not have been attained from reading the print alone. Print makes for a more tightly closed verbal art forms, especially in narrative. Until print, the only linearly plotted lengthy storyline was that of drama, which from antiquity has been controlled by writing. Euripides' tragedies were texts composed in writing and then memorized verbatim to be presented orally. Beyond the study of these scripts and performances as part of our English language arts programs, theatrical performances serve to support literacy development. Supporting the study of and engagement in dramatic activities promote crucial early literacy development because students are involved in reading and writing as a holistic and meaningful communication process. And drama is a powerful learning medium, providing opportunities for students to have and a context to relate to their lived experience. Yet the theater was destined to see a curtain call as history continued to change and technology took another hold, impacting the bringing to life of print. In the midst of continual theatrical performances and an explosion of vaudeville-style entertainment, two technology advances seemed to promote the film killing the theater road, both motion pictures and television. Moving between theater and film can be equated to a painter who moves between acrylics and watercolors. The painter is still a painter, but the medium has changed and therefore the process will change. The medium of the performance may have changed dramatically, but the essence of the medium of the written word in the form of a script remained crucial as a foundation to these screen performances. In fact, silent films combine both the written word and the action on the screen in lieu of sound. The once oral narrative of the thespians of ancient Greece had been replaced by modern actors who had to rely heavily upon physical gesture to convey meaning, along with title cards called inertiles. Inertiles were used for dialogue as well as for expository inertiles that served to elaborate on the action that could not be entirely captured by film. This expanded on the ability of filmmaking to allow for greater storytelling to occur now that dialogue could be introduced. The use of inertiles led to what we now know as modern subtitles. These early subtitles were the first step to allowing foreign audiences who did not know the language to have an opportunity to watch and understand a film from outside their cultural language, opening up the possibility for both education and entertainment. This greatly impacted the access to performances that historically had been reserved for native language speakers only. Paula Cohen reveals that silent film also allowed for America to break its literary ties to Europe and to allow for the creation of original forms of literary expression that better shared the American reality. Further to entertainment alone, education was also impacted by the invention of this visual literary form. It was in 1922 that Thomas Edison was quoted as saying, "I believe that the motion picture is destined to revolutionize our educational system and that in a few years it will supplant largely, if not entirely, the use of textbooks." If we're seeing the words come to life, one can question the need to have the associated source of print to accompany the film. The first use of film in a classroom is believed to have been in Rochester, New York Public School in 1910. This was a time when silent films provided educators with a new mechanism for making instruction more concrete, realistic, and visual. Yet, simply pushing play was not an option, and an educational film was met with great resistance. Educators were questioned about the educational benefits of film acting as a teaching tool. When silent films began to find their way into education, many teachers objected and shared a strong belief that still pictures were better than moving pictures for instruction. The presence of resistance to new motion picture technologies is not surprising. That there was a resistance in the new motion picture technology, considering new innovations are not always immediately accepted and embraced. Despite the continued resistance to technological advancements and electronic teaching aids entering the classroom, adoption of film as an educational tool took hold. Through film, students could see faraway lands, visit dangerous places, and witness natural phenomenon while seated in the classroom. Film provided a dynamic representational format that allowed teachers to bring the world to their students in a manner that was not possible through textbooks and blackboards alone. Historical clips could bring history to life and provide a present-day view of the people and events described in the pages of history books. The silent film was transformed with sound, introduced in 1927. Once again, literacy and education and instructional practice were impacted. Instructional manuals began to be developed in order to help teachers begin to integrate this technology as part of a rigorous academic program. In 1937, a publication of How to Use Educational Sound Film, Brunsetter established it was important that the teacher use specific techniques to integrate the motion picture with other instructional activities in the classroom as a way to help determine what students would ultimately get out of the learning experience. On the one hand is a vivid contact with life, wrapped up in a few hundred feet of celluloid. On the other hand is the student, brimming with possibilities, awaiting release. Teaching with film was not recommended, as simply showing it to a group of passive observers, hoping it was done the work of filling their minds. It was meant to be an educational tool rather than a toy, a tool that was dynamic, interpretive, and exploratory. These action verbs invited educators, regardless of the time in history, to increase a different level of interaction and understanding of the written word coming to life before their eyes. The evolution of human interpretation of print in the form of physical action and verbal display has taken many forms, from the ancient Greeks to the silver screen, and now to the YouTuber generation. The New Medium Consortium released in 2008 Horizon Report, where it listed trending technologies likely to be adopted to use in academic institution. It was predicted that videos created by ordinary people, produced with inexpensive equipment, and distributed through video sharing sites like YouTube would be adopted by academic institutions within 1 year. In fact, this prediction has already begun to come true. YouTube EDU was launched and is a central hub for videos from leading college and university partners with over 20,000 videos and full courses offered for free through the site. The history of motion picture has now entered a new age, where interactive video sharing and authoring tools work directly through everyday web browsers. Students have the opportunity not only to consume the videos produced by teachers, but they have open access to a global collective of understanding, instructional presentations, and video clips. There is a long history of educational motion pictures, and now a growing quantity of educational online video. It seems logical to conclude that the role of print coming to life in the form of drama, motion picture, and online video in the classroom will increase. Motion pictures will likely not replace textbooks, but the short digital video clip is likely to become a regular feature within digital learning materials. The future of online video is likely to mirror the past in many ways. The intrinsic value of video will continue to serve educators by providing audio-visual representations of ideas, information, and events. The current manifestation of video technology, bringing the combination of a global online delivery system as an interactive interface that permits both viewing and authoring of video content, which extends previous video capabilities to greater levels of engagement with the media. We have an opportunity to ensure that our instructional methods are not confounded with media, and that the methods themselves help students to explore and interpret the action before their eyes. Clark argues that media are mere vehicles that deliver instruction but do not influence student achievement any more than the truck that delivers our groceries causes changes in our nutrition. I would argue that without the truck, we starve our bodies, and therefore without media, we starve our minds. We have had a long history of bringing learning to life. We are just using a new vehicle for the ride. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this examination of From the Stage to the Screen to YouTube. Literacy in Education.